sort of make it seem like it's their idea and do it on their terms. Because I just think that the more you sort of force them to do stuff, the more they sort of can rebel against you a little bit. So we've just been trying to encourage them to. We're trying to do some activity every day, whether it's a dog walk or a bit of netball in the back garden, a bit of tennis as well. So yeah, just a bit of everything.
And when are you getting back? Because there's been talk that have you been back this week, or are you heading back properly next week to proper training?
Well, yeah, the plan is either at the end of this week or definitely next week, and it'll be individual stuff. So it'll be me just bowling on my own, and then with a build up to sort of, I think it's 2 weeks time where we can actually do sort of small group stuff, and then with a view to another couple of weeks after that, going into a big group situation where we might have like 30 players playing against each other to try and get ready for the test matches in middle of July.
Yeah, and have you been tested yet? Because we've just had the news that the kind of first wave of Premier League footballer tests have come back, and I think there's 6 positive tests, not just players. That's all the clubs have been tested. So 6 people from 3 different clubs. Have you been tested yet?
No, not yet. I think the idea is to test everyone before we join up as a bigger group. So yeah, at the minute we've not been tested. Not had any symptoms or anything like that either, and I've been trying to be quite strict on staying at home. It's been nice to get out a little bit more in the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I think we'll all get tested once we join up as a big squad.
Have you got any concerns? I know Joss Butler's spoken out and said he's got some concerns about going back. Do you understand those? Do you share those concerns?
Yeah, of course. I think it's just a human reaction to be sort of nervous, I guess, about this sort of situation. We've got players in our team that have got pregnant wives, and you know that the worry there is if they bring something back, you know. So I think what the ECB are doing is trying to make sure that we're really, really sort of tick every box that we can to make sure that the safety of the players and the staff is absolutely paramount, and make sure everything's in the right place, so that if and when we do join back up as a team before we start playing, that you know we are as safe as we possibly can be.
And what are you being told about what that will look like? Because I mean, I kind of laugh when I see this phrase biosecure cricket. To me, it makes me think of tomatoes in a greenhouse. You're obviously not tomatoes in a greenhouse, but what are you being told that might look like?
Well, I think the sort of idea is sort of, but once we join up as a big squad, then that'll be at one particular venue. We'll spend a couple of weeks there, and we'll train together and sort of become basically a big family, like the way everyone's been encouraged to stay in their families over the last 2 months. It'll be the similar sort of thing, but with a big squad of players and management. So that's as much as I know right now. I think after that, once the games start, it'll be a couple of grounds have been talked about, because they've got hotels on site. So we'll stay at the hotel at the ground. And then, you know, all the staff of the hotel will buy into the safety measures that we put in place, and yeah, so it's big sort of effort to get it off the ground. But again, it's just making sure that the safety's in the right place.
And are you happy with what's being talked about? Have you talked about it within your family? I mean, are there any concerns at home?
Yeah, we've talked about it briefly, and I think. Again, as long as all the safety measures are in place, and I'll be happy to go back and play. Again, it's really difficult for lots of players in different situations. For me, I don't know how long I've got left. You know, I'm getting towards the end of my career, so I'm desperate to get out there and play. So it's trying to just weigh everything up and making sure we make the right decision individually.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you see it as a good thing, this layoff, because it's given you a chance to make sure you're absolutely going to be fit and ready to go, or do you see it as time wasted?
No, I see it, well, I've just tried to look at the positive side of it, really. I think that's the only thing you can do to get through a period of time like this. I've just tried to focus on what I can do, and that's been do a little bit of fitness. I've been going out for runs and stuff like that, just getting my body as good as I possibly can do for when we do get the nod to start training again and then to play, then hopefully I'll be in as good a shape as possible to do that.
How long do you think it'll take you to get back to full fighting fitness? How far away are you?
Well, the issue with bowling is that it's such an unusual action that your body needs time to get used to the way the unusual movements of it, and that's why I think the bowlers will start back first in the next couple of weeks, and the batsmen will join in maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time, and it's just trying to get the body used to the stresses of bowling basically, and so it could take a good 3 or 4 weeks. And I think the danger is that because we've been laid off for so long, that when you come back you get a bit overexcited and you're desperate to try a little bit too much too soon. So it'll be a challenge just to try and ease my way back in.
And that's something you've got to manage a little bit, better perhaps as you get a bit older.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Got to take my time to warm up and make sure that don't try too much too soon.
Do you still trust your body? It must be hard. I mean, I feel I talk about you as much for your injuries as your performances, or have done in recent times, and that's frustrating for me as sitting here as a big England fan wanting to see you succeed. It must be so hard for you.
Yeah, it's been a tough 12 months, but I think before that I've been really lucky with injuries and not had too much of an issue really, and I think it's inevitable as a bowler you're going to get injuries. And obviously you don't want them as much as I've had them in the last 12 months, but it's part and parcel of the sport. And yeah, like I said, I've been lucky in my career that I've not had too many injuries. So I've just got to look at the positive side of it and try and get my body again into decent shape, and hopefully if I do that, then I can keep on the field more than I stay off it, or have stayed off it in the last few months.
Yeah, what we've been asking through these Instagram lives, we've been asking viewers to send in questions, and we've had loads for you. But one that's quite interesting that's I should have mentioned when we were talking about coming back in these times. Travman87 has asked, what do you think of the ICC suggestion to ban saliva? Because it's a really interesting topic in this day and age, and it has a big impact on how you do what you do. Yeah,
it does have a big impact. But I'm pretty sure that we won't be allowed to put saliva on the ball. 99% convinced that we won't be allowed to do that. So I think there's discussions going on at the minute what we will be allowed to do and not be allowed to do with the ball. And like you said, it's a massive thing for me, because to get the ball to swing, you need to be able to polish the ball and repair it when it gets scuffs on it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And I don't know if they've come up with a solution yet, but I've certainly not heard of anything at the moment.
How natural will it be? I mean, you will have to really stop and think.
Yeah.
To stop yourself doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of things actually. So just touching your face when you're sweating and stuff like that, it's just a natural reaction to do that. And I think guys, certainly bowlers, your immediate reaction when you get the ball in your hand is to start polishing it, and we use sweat, we use saliva, and it's like you say, it's just a natural reaction. So we're going to have to get used to in the next couple of weeks when we start back bowling. I think it's important that we start getting used to the fact that we can't do that, and it'd be interesting to see if they allow us to do anything with the ball, because I'd be quite keen for them to allow us to use something on it.
You're going to have to start putting in like a fine system in training and keep each other in check, probably.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm sure it's the same in all sports. When you've done something for so many years and then all of a sudden you can't do that, it'll be really hard to change. So I think we're going to have to try and help each other through it a bit, yeah.
There's, I lost track of the number of questions from people asking how you get the perfect swing, how you do what you do, how do you increase the speed, how do you increase the swing. So we don't have to answer all of them. If you had, 2 top tips for any young bowlers out there, what would they be?
Well, I mean, for me, that when it comes to swing, it's the seam position. So making sure that the seam comes out at the right angle. Because if you've got a bad seam, or if it's slightly off straight, then it's not going to swing. And that's something that it took me probably, it took me years to actually perfect or get the perfect seam. And then my in-swinger as well, that's another thing. That took me another 5 years to perfect that and feel confident using it in a game. So I'd say don't get frustrated with it. Keep trying to just work on that seam position as much as possible. And also, I think when it comes to... It's always a toss-up when a lot of people ask me, how do you concentrate more on accuracy or speed? And for me, I think speed is something that you actually... comes quite naturally to some people and not others. So you've got to sort of allow your body to do what it can. It's not easy just to put speed to put pace on, but accuracy is something you can control. Anyone can control that. And if you bowl straight, you've got the chances of you getting wickets, no matter what speed you bowl at, goes up however many percent. So that's what I always try and say to people. Certainly, youngsters that are trying to find their way with the ball, is to make sure that they concentrate on bowling straight.
And have you always done that? Has that always been your approach to it, or is it something you've had to learn?
Yeah, so for me, I went the other way. I bowled fast as a kid, and then I had to sort of develop bowling straighter as I got older. So I was lucky in a way that I could bowl fast. And not everyone can do that. So I think it just depends. If you can bowl quick, then go for it. Enjoy that, because bowling fast is one of the most fun things that you'll ever get to do, and it doesn't last forever. Believe me, it's been about 10 years since I bowled properly fast. So yeah, I think it just depends on how the individual. If you can bowl fast, then go for it. Enjoy that. If not, try and focus on accuracy.
Okay, another question. Mehdi Abdi 30. Who's the best player you've ever played with?
There's been quite a few. I've been very fortunate to play with some amazing players. The first person that always comes into my mind is Kevin Peterson. Just an absolutely phenomenal talent. Someone who could really put fear into the opposition and win matches from any situation. So he's someone who sticks out. And on slightly different style of player, Alistair Cook, I think, as well, as a captain and an opening batsman, and one of the hardest places to bat, if not the hardest place to bat. He did an amazing job for many years.
KP said he'd pick Virat Kohli over Steve Smith as a batsman. Who do you prefer to face?
Neither, to be honest. It's really tough because I've not had a lot of success against either of them in the last few years. I think I probably prefer to bowl at Virat, just because he's a bit more orthodox, where Steve Smith's a bit more quirky, and just I find it harder to get into a rhythm against him. But I think Virat I much prefer watching. I think he's amazing to watch. Such an amazing technique.
What have you made of how Steve Smith has dealt with the last couple of years? Because, I mean, in terms of the controversy, coming back, it's quite something. It's quite a story to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, he's dealt with it brilliantly. I think, losing the captaincy and going through what he went through with the other two guys must have been tough. So then to come out the other side of that, and he's played phenomenally well since then. He was playing phenomenally well before, but even better since, and shows a lot about someone's character to be able to handle that sort of incident and deal with it the way he has.
What is it like lining up to face Australia? Do you prepare to face Australia differently because of the Ashes and the rivalry?
Yeah, I think it is different from I'm sure that Australian cricketers would say the same thing, but from an English point of view, it's the biggest series we play in. You grow up with watching this big rivalry. For me, I grew up in the sort of late 80s and 90s when Australia were quite dominant over England, so it was frustrating to watch. But to be able to play against Australia, and even in Australia as well, it's an incredible sort of series to play in, and an amazing atmosphere. And it's hard to explain what sort of the atmosphere is like in Australia. It's so you feel a little bit threatened, but also at the same time, it's you feel like there's a bit of respect there as well for if you're a good player.
What do England need to do to reclaim the Ashes? What hope for 21?
Well, I think we've made some good strides in the last few months. Having a settled side is really important. Obviously, with Alistair Cook retiring not long ago, getting a couple of new openers in. So Rory Burns and Dom Sibley have done brilliantly in the last few months. So I think having a settled side and getting guys with experience as well together in the next however long it is, 12 months or so, I think is really important. So we've like I said, we've made good strides, but we've just
series.
No, for me, it's always about the next series, the next game. That's all you can really focus on. If you think too far ahead, you can take your eye off what is happening at the minute. So I'm sure there'll be conversations along the way the next 12 months about Australia. In Australia, that's generally how it works. You kind of just mention it along the way, and then
just in passing.
Yeah. But I think you focus more and more on it as the time gets closer, and I think it'd be foolish to sort of be thinking about that when we've got potentially Pakistan and the West Indies in the near future, and then we've got potential tours to India in the winter as well, which is a really tough place to go. So I think it's important to focus on the here and now, but obviously we do. Especially after the last couple of series against Australia, we do need to perform better out there.
Dare I mention the R word? And if you were to be part of an England team that regained the Ashes in 2021, would that be where you draw a line?
It's really hard to say. I think
you must have thought about it.
Yeah, I have a little bit. Not a huge amount. I think. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the next Ashes series. So for me, it's about, like I said, it's about the next sort of game and what I can sort of control. I don't like looking too far ahead. You don't know when you're going to get your next injury as a bowler, especially for me the last few months, last couple of years. So I love playing cricket, and that's what I'm going to try and do for as long as I possibly can. If we can win in Australia, that would be amazing. And again, it's hard to say because it's so far ahead. But if I manage to play in that and we won, then obviously I'd have to see how my body is at that point. But might be a nice way to go out, yeah.
But you just said you honestly you're not sure you're going to make it that far. Is that? I mean, how often are you thinking you're not going to make it to the next match? Are you that concerned about it?
No. I never think I'm not going to make it to the next match. I just think it's dangerous to look too far ahead, especially at 37 years old. You don't, you know, the injuries I've had the last couple of years. I think it's important that I try and focus on staying fit as much as I can, and as long as I'm bowling well, then I'm going to keep playing. I still love playing. I still love doing the training and everything like that. So
do you enjoy the training? Because not everybody loves the training at all.
Yeah, I do. I love. I wouldn't say I love the gym, but I do. I enjoy the bits of training. But I think the bit I love most is still trying to develop my skills with the ball and tinkering with certain things like that. I enjoy learning about the game, even now. So I think that for me, as long as I've got that love for it, then I'll keep going. And I don't know when retirement for me, it could be 6 months, it could be 6 years. Who knows? I don't think it's a. You obviously start thinking about it because you get to a certain age, and that this is when sportsmen and women are meant to retire in their 30s.
What was the age? When did you start thinking about it?
I don't know. I feel like I've been asked about it for about 5 years in press conferences and stuff. People always seem to be asking about it, but for me, it kind of, as long as my body's feeling good, then why should I finish just because it's the sort of, this is when people should retire. It's kind of, I love seeing people go into their 40s and still performing at the top level. Why can't I do that?
I'm not sure, I can't remember who it was that asked, but somebody asked, what sports people from other sports do you admire and what do you learn from them? Is there anyone in particular?
Not really. I follow literally every sport, and I try and pick up things along the way from people or read the stuff that I read or see on TV. It's great to see someone like Roger Federer, I think he's the same age as me. So everyone wrote him off a few years ago. He's had an amazing couple of years, which again, it just keeps my confidence going. Weird, it's nothing to do with me what he's doing, but it keeps my confidence going that he can be a 37-year-old tennis player at the top of his game. Why can't I be a 37-year-old cricketer at the top of my game? So I just try and pick up little things, what I can. I remember Ryan Giggs playing to his 40 and stuff like that. The stories like that. And
yoga. His key was yoga, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I've read stuff about what he used to do and tried to help. Take a few hints and try and help my game with that.
I know. Preparing for the South Africa series, you did some training at Manchester City. Are you able to kind of burrow your way in and get some secrets of how they do what they do, or are you very much kept at a distance in that scenario?
Yeah, very much kept at a distance. I was very lucky to be able to use their facilities because it's absolutely incredible, their training ground, and that really helped me get back to fitness before that South Africa trip. But yeah, I mean, you can't. I kept my ear to the ground when I was there, trying to see if I could pick anything up. But no, they very much kept me at arm's length.
Because you're from Burnley, but you're an Arsenal fan, aren't you?
No, I'm a Burnley fan.
You are a Burnley. I got duff information. Okay. Do you want to see the Premier League? Do you want to see the Premier League back for the remainder of the season?
I mean, I'd love to see sport back, live sport back, and I did watch some of the German football at the weekend, and as odd as it was to see football with no atmosphere, no crowd there, I think it was still great to see live sport back on TV. But as long as it's done in a safe way and as long as no one's put at risk, then I think it would be great for everyone to see a bit of sport on TV.
Are you going to have to prepare differently for playing in front of no crowds? Are you going to have to almost G yourself up mentally in a different way?
Yeah, we have spoken about this as players, and we're lucky in England that most Test matches are sold out. Certainly the first few days we get big crowds, so it's motivating yourself. It isn't an issue. You just get out there in front of a packed house, and it's quite easy to get up for a game. And I think, we might have to just lean on each other a little bit as players. If, no crowd there, no atmosphere, we hear the sound of Leather on Willow echoing around the ground rather than, the applause sort of thing. Are
you in favour of the crowd noise being pumped in, or that there's the cardboard cutouts, aren't there, at Mönchengladbach?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that would make a difference, to be honest. I think... it's going to be strange whatever happens, whether there's cardboard cutouts, whether there's no crowd at all.
Maybe you could choose the cardboard cutout, like you have the say as to who's watching. Who would you pick?
Get famous faces in there.
Right, we've got another question about Headingley. Ollie Chaplin, where were you when Headingley happened? Of course, Ben Stokes and the test saving performance in 2019, last year.
Yes, I was at Headingley. I was in the dressing room. So we, I was getting some treatment. I was injured at the time, getting some treatment in the physio room when Ben Stokes and Jack Leach were batting, and you try and find a lucky spot in the dressing room when things are going well. So as that partnership started to build, I was sort of made to stay in the physio room, so it's sort of tucked away out the back and you can't actually see the ground. So I was watching it on TV, but at the ground, so it was a bit odd, but just incredible to be there and experience the atmosphere after as well, seeing Ben collect his man of the match medal with the crowd still packed and appreciative of it. It was incredible.
That must be really weird, being so close yet so far. At something that's such a momentous occasion. Yeah,
it was very odd, but I feel like I did my part in the victory because I stayed in the lucky position. There were guys bouncing a tennis ball around in the toilets and just trying to find somewhere lucky to sort of position themselves and get us through that game.
Do you have a lucky spot or a lucky ritual for matches, or does it differ game by game?
Yeah, I think it does differ game by game because we play at different grounds each game in England. Most guys do have lucky spots in those dressing rooms. I've got a lucky spot at Lord's, Trent Bridge, always sit in the same place. Old Trafford, obviously, I sit in the same place. But then there are other grounds where if I've not done well in the past, then I'll sit anywhere and try and change my luck a little bit. Headingley's one of those grounds where I've sort of sat in the same vicinity but not in the same spot, just to try and change my luck there.
So there's somewhere you absolutely don't sit at Headingley? Where's the worst?
No, it's not a great. I just don't like Headingley, to be honest. The whole place. That's being a Lancastrian. I can say that thing. It's not the best dressing room that we have. I'll put it up.
What else? What other questions? Here we go. Annette Morris. How do you manage under pressure and keep yourself calm?
Well, I think I've certainly in the last few years I've used a sports psychologist to help me. I used to get really angry if things weren't going well. I'd just lose my focus, get the red mist, and just start just losing my focus. So I've worked quite hard on it, and I really have a massive focus on that one ball that I'm about to bowl, and that is literally it. And that's for me how I've been able to deal with the pressure, because if you're that focused on something, then you kind of everything else is it's just not there really. The crowd noise, whoever's batting at the other end, it's just another guy to me. It's not Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli or Steve Smith. It's just another right-handed batsman. So it's those sorts of things have helped me, and being quite honest as well with my. So I try and monitor every ball. So I bowl a ball, and then I'll think in my head, did that go where I wanted to? Did they play a good shot? Should I bowl the same ball again, etc., etc. So when I get back to my mark, I'm ready to do it again.
Do you fall asleep at night thinking about balls that you've bowled during the day?
Yeah. More so during games, I'll be thinking about the next day and thinking about who I'm bowling at and what could go wrong, what could go right. Just trying to go through every scenario so that once I get into the game, it's like I've been there before. I've sort of been there and done that sort of the night before in the sort of visualization, I guess you call it.
But is that only during a match? You wouldn't go to bed tonight, for example, thinking about bowling, or would you?
No, probably not. Probably not. I think I'm good at just being able to switch off as well. So during games, I'll be thinking about cricket. Find it hard to switch off during test matches. But outside of that, I'll try and do anything I can to switch off completely. So tonight I might go to bed thinking about my golf swing or something like that.
How is your golf swing?
Well, I've not been out on the course yet, but I've got a net in my back garden that I've been hitting some balls into, so I've been trying to do some work on that as well as my cricket.
It sounds like there's a fair few people who've been back in the last few days, and there's been a few rusty opening shots.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right, we've kept you longer than I said I was going to keep you. So, final question. Loads of people have asked, what is your favourite wicket?
My favourite wicket is Michael Clarke at Trent Bridge in 2013. It's possibly one of the best balls I bowled, I think. And in the situation of the game, it was a tight game. Being their best player, one of their best players, and captain at the time. I'd say that was possibly it's not just my favourite wicket, but the best ball I bowled.
Amazing. Jimmy, as ever, a real pleasure, privilege to speak to you. Thank you so much indeed. Have you been to Monaco to the Formula One?
Yes.
What's your Monaco because this week we should be in Monaco.
All right.
CNN Sport. Sadly not. Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good trip?
Loved it, yeah.
What was the highlight?
Sorry?
What was the highlight?
I didn't see much of the race, actually. I think the highlight of Monaco is actually what goes on around it. The nightlife just is incredible.
So on the next CNN Sport Lockdown Live is the Haas team principal Gunther Steiner. He's joining us on Thursday. I don't know. Did you see the Netflix doc?
No, I didn't.
Well, Gunther became something of a cult figure. His language is pretty special. So we got the beep and the mic ready to go. But thank you, Jimmy, as ever, for joining us. Good luck with the return.